Hello, everyone. Hey, my name is Miss Harvey, and I'm joined with Summer from CLG. Hi, Summer.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too shabby. Fun Saturday so far. Hyped
You're
to be here.
you're looking fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. It's in my face. It's
Yeah.
always it's always a special treat.
So for those who are joining us, we are live on two different streams at the same time. We're live on my personal stream as well as on the Any Key stream, and this is in collaboration with the CLG fam. We are doing this for a cause. So if you are on my channel, you might not be aware, but you can use the donate exclamation mark donate to know more about who we're donating for today. It's a full day long of any key streams, and we are going to be joining the Any Key channel for 30 minutes. So I'm pretty excited to be talking to Summer. Summer, we have
Hi.
such a great topic today. You and I always can talk for hours and hours and hours, so it's kind of challenging to pick a topic. But we decided to kind of put it in connection to the charity we're supporting today, which is the game's outline. Let's talk competitive gaming and harassment.
For
And we'll
sure.
be taking all the questions in both chats if you have any questions because Summer is the expert. She is CLG's player development coach, but you have a very diverse background, and we're so happy to be able to have this discussion with you today.
Yes, I'm really excited. I'm excited to get a little weird with it. Like performance coaching is one of those things that kind of transcends any one medium, right? It can be about gaming, it can be about where you want to be in 10 years, it can, be about how you approach health and wellness, it can be about how you learn adulting skills, it can be any number of things. And of course, performance can like be applied to harassment. Unfortunately, it does have an impact on how well you can play, and you do actually need skills and able to overcome any kind of criticism realistically. And that's kind of how we look at harassment, at least in this context.
Yeah, so you know, let's think about what kind of harassment could affect your competitive gaming. Harassment is so big; it can come to multiple forms, from like just performance review on social media, but it can directly as well come into the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like who here has never or has not been told like stuff inside the game while you're playing or trying to get better, especially in solo queues in specific games, multiplayer games. Is that the kind of harassment we want to talk about today?
We could talk about that. I mean,
Okay.
and there's a lot of different ways that you can look at harassment.
Yeah.
In some ways, in traditional sport, harassment is kind of commonplace. You can look at the fan heckling somebody, right? If
Oh
you're
yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah.
soccer, trying to do a penalty kick. There are some sporting events that actually purposely hand out distraction implements to make it easier for the fans to have an influence over the outcome of the game, right? And in that way, um, by design, competition has included this way to try to overcome your opponent through mental means, right? We're not just trying to outskill our opponent, we're trying to outmental the
That
opponent,
is true.
right? So heckling is a very simple example of, quite
Yeah.
frankly, somebody harassing someone to the point of faltering in their execution. So you can look at that in its most basic form that way. You can also think about like how many sports movies have you seen where the coach is like, get in their head, right? Um, so it's kind of one of those things that's a little bit entwined into the sport culture. And whether or not that's okay, I'm not sure. But at least as far as I'm concerned, there's a line that you can cross that really takes it out of the realm of being part of the sport and into something that's not okay. And that's when you're really challenging a core piece of somebody's identity. And when you're thinking about identity, this is what you imagine yourself and the image that you're portraying to society at large. It's what someone will interpret as you when they look at you. Um, so this could be something like your gender, how you present, right? It could be your religion, especially if you carry yourself wearing a piece of jewelry that suggests that you care about that religion, or a full garb. It can be your race, country of origin, basically anything that really distinguishes you as you. So I personally feel like you've gone too far when you start to attack somebody on those means. And as a woman in esport, most of the time it comes down to my gender. It's one of the things that's the most apparent about me. And it's just like the easiest thing for somebody to grab onto and kind of belittle me with. And I feel like that's where we can start centering our focuses on. Like when somebody crosses that line, what does that look like and how can you handle it?
So, okay, so it makes sense. So, from everything that you just said to me, from my player experience, I've always said, like, you can complain about me being bad or not being coming on the game prepared, but as soon as you say that I suck because I'm a girl or you attack my gender, that's when it pisses me off. Do
Yeah.
you think that it's related to exactly what you said? Like as soon as it becomes personal, but not personal as in my skills or as in my competences, but more as in
Mhm.
like things that are irrelevant to gameplay, especially in competitive gaming. Uh
Yeah. That's when it goes beyond trying to out mental you, right? There is that mental component to the competition, trying to outsmart somebody, right? Normally, it takes the form of trying to outplay somebody with strategy, but sometimes it does say, like, if I can distract you, then I've also won, right? Because there's an inherent understanding that focus and concentration control, all of that is important to a competitor, period, right? And we know this across the board, whether it's traditional sport, esport, it is part of your skill set to have a strong control of your mental. So it is something that you can draw upon as another means to dominate your opponent, to get into their head. But when you do cross that line, when you poke at somebody's self, that's not making it about competition. That's actually just trying to break somebody for the sake of breaking somebody, and it's a cheap shot, right?
okay.
That's like really what it comes down to. You're breaking the rules. There's like an unwritten contract in society that we have that there's some things that you just don't hit upon, and that person just decided to hit below the belt.
Okay, so let's say we're in a situation of harassment. We're playing a game. Let's take League of Legends of CS:GO. I know you're both more and more familiar about these two games, especially because right now you're super helping the Red Girls during their season, the CLG Red Girls. For those who don't know who I was referring to, um, how? Okay, so let's go into that player's mindset where they're trying to work on their competitive gaming and they're trying to improve and whatnot, and they get harassed.
Mm-hmm.
um why don't you kind of lead us on that journey of our how to keep our mindset focused on getting better and not the negativity of the personal attacks, for example.
Gotcha. I mean, in my experience working with the professional esport athletes at CLG, there's a couple of different places that this crops up. You're either going to find it in solo queue where someone is kind of not being awesome in chat or in voice, or you're going to find it a lot on social media as well. So those are two different contexts that we can probably hit upon and come up with some strategies. Um, but Steph, I'm going to actually talk through this with you because
Yeah,
you actually
okay.
have experience here. Let's talk through the moment that you're in your ranked queue trying to improve, right?
Hmm.
Let's talk through a moment. Just throw me an example where you're getting distracted by somebody.
Okay, so I think that one thing that really triggers me is, let's say I'm playing a rank queue and I'm solo playing, and it's round two. So that means they have no idea how I play yet. It's round two. Okay. We just met each other. And uh, someone assumes my skill level and trashes me for a play I did or a play I didn't do right away. Like, you fucking blow, sorry for the swearing
Mm-hmm.
words. But like right away, as like the first thing, and then they never it on. Like round three, they keep like that's it. Like I broke their mindset, and now they expect me
Mm-hmm.
to be trash, and everything I do is trash, and they just like keep repeating
And this
it.
is on your team or the opponent team?
My team. The,
Ah,
the
classic.
opponent team, I'm like, whatever. It's my team that's like just every round, just like we're trying to win together, and a random teammate is just telling me I'm bad every single round.
First of all, that sounds really freaking irritating.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. and I want to validate the feeling, right? It is irritating. It feels unfair. It feels like it shouldn't be there. And I want everyone to realize that that feeling of rejection of the moment is what's going to take you out of your own game. It's because you actually have not allowed what that person's saying in. And you end up expending energy trying to keep it out rather than allowing it in and letting it exit out naturally. So another way to look at this is if you were thrown into a stream, right? Every single time you are in a game, you are thrown into a series of uncontrollables, and your teammates and opponents are both uncontrollable. So if you imagine a stream of uncontrollables being standing in the middle of a raging river, your job only is to hold your own in the middle of that river. Now, when you have a situation that you don't like and you're pushing against it, imagine trying to be a dam against the river, right? You're trying to like collect sticks and whatever you can to like beaver the crap out of this river, trying to create a dam so that you can have control over the situation. And you've done two things. One, you have wasted a lot of time gathering materials that you didn't really freaking need to just stand there in the water and weather it, right? And the other thing is like you've kind of jeopardized yourself because at any point, these mechanisms that you put in place, meaning the sticks and the rocks and whatever, at any point they can collapse and cease to work. And now you're downriver. So you've lost your footing spending time trying to prevent what was going to happen anyway. So the unfortunate reality is that we do not live in a perfect world. There are things that are unfair. You're going to be treated unjustly at times. And does it suck? Absolutely. Do you still have to tolerate it and deal with it? Yes, you do if you want to get anywhere. So once you actually develop that level of acceptance where you can just kind of stand in there, take it, let it pass through you and let it go all in one moment, then you're going to be in a better place.
So in that situation, to not be fighting against that river and kind of absorbing it and let it flow, it's my mindset. So that means I would need to like to sum it up, I would just need to ignore it or just need to like
Nope.
no.
Ignoring it is grabbing a stick and trying to block.
Right?
Right?
Oh, okay.
Because that means for the rest of the game, I have to hold an arm up here.
Okay.
Right? Imagine if for every critic you had to hold an arm, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody else said something, now you have another arm. Now I'm out hands, right? And then you try to use a foot to block somebody. You're losing the things that you actually need to execute on the situation as you're trying to create all these defenses. So what it really looks like is saying, "Oh, I'm in the second round of a game. It's fact, right? Oh, this person seems to be critical of my gameplay. Interesting. Oh, this person seems to be carrying on this criticism and they seem to be distracted by the fact that I'm a woman in their game. Okay. I hope they're okay." Right? You're just trying to actually just gather facts of the situation because most of the time what we react to in these situations is not the situation itself, but it's what we think it means, right? For some people, like in League of Legends, I have had players that are just happy teammates. They know each other pretty well. But a bad play happens in one person's lane and they hear a sigh coming from another lane. And now they're like, oh my God, this person thinks I'm trash. Are they tilted? Did I just tilt them? And am I tilted? Right? There's like all these assumptions and trying to figure out like what's happening. And it's all in here. It actually has nothing to do with the situation. That person might have made a sigh because they're tired. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like they realized that the demand of the situation increased because a kill went down in another lane, and now they are trying to like level themselves up and being like, okay, now I need to carry. So it's just kind of like, all right, like how can I master this game? There's a lot of different things that can happen in somebody's head. So trying to figure out which one it is all the time can be exhausting, and it's a distraction in and of itself.
Okay. I'm really
so
trying to
not
understand.
To get looped into it is the
but
way.
Okay, so you need to kind of break it down, understand where they're coming from, and let it go. Is that what I'm understanding?
It's trying to objectively observe the facts of the situation. Make sure that you are reacting to the facts and not the feelings.
Okay.
Oftentimes you're responding to the feeling it elicits in you. It's a trigger for you. And this trigger can come from any number of places. If you ask yourself, oh, I'm actually realizing that my heart is beating faster now that they said that to me, and my palms are getting sweaty. Why am I reacting this way? It's a physiological response, which suggests that you're experiencing an emotion.
Okay.
Right? And then you can examine that a little bit and be like, oh, I must think this means something actually about my gameplay. or I'm worried that this person's going to play worse because I'm here. But generally speaking, it means something to you that you may not be paying attention to. And you don't necessarily need to do this in the moment, but if you are finding that you're reacting to these moments over and over again, it's worth going back and being like, what do I actually think this comment means? Do I actually believe them when they say I'm trash? Because if that's the truth, then we can problem solve that belief, right? Being like, well, if I actually do want to get better, and these people seem to be finding evidence that I'm not as good as I think I am, well, then maybe I need to look at how I can track my progress and improve these skills if I think there's basis in what they're saying. And that's fine. You can do something about that and be proactive about it and improve, right?
Okay, I think
And
I'm
that came
starting to
from,
get it.
yeah, that came from the examination of what's going on in you, right? It had nothing to do with them. It was just like, why am I reacting to this person's statement? And because I realized that it comes from an insecurity of mine and not theirs, then I was able to take control of it and do something and be proactive in the next game.
Okay, it's so difficult because it's like I have to rethink my whole life of competitive, and like I'm thinking about examples where I reacted in ways that was probably not beneficial for my competitive gaming because of a sigh. Like it actually happened in my career where I heard sighs from my teammates that I was just like, I suck, this is because they just saw
A
something I
freaking internal
did.
critic. Oh no, not the critic. He surfaces again. But controlling that internal voice is kind of half the battle. That's what it really means to develop mental resilience at the end of the day. There is that voice that comes inside of you that just like mucks things up every once in a while. And they're there just to make things complicated. They're like the gossip girl of your life, right? Who's just always there to instigate issues and not there to help fix them, right? And for each individual scenario, there's usually a character that you can form around them, like the classic like angel and devil on your shoulder. um, there's usually some sort of imagery that you can attach to it, and being able to name the internal critical voice is the first step to kind of overcoming it, if you will. For instance, I have a crippling fear and anxiety around writing, and I had to examine where that actually comes from. And I thought all the way back to my high school years when I was learning how to write. And oftentimes I would come home from school and be like, hey, uh, I talked to my brother, his name is Chauncey. And I was like, Chauncey, can you proofread my essay? And he's just like, oh my God, this sucks. Right. And to this day, I still hear like, oh my God, your writing sucks. And it's not like my brother loves me and I know he has my back. But whenever I hear, oh my God, this writing sucks, I now understand. It's like, hey man, shut up, Chauncey. Like, not today, right?
I feel that someone in chat said it really well. It's like Funky B. He said a good comparison would be like dating, right? You're dating and someone did this, and you're thinking like he did X, and you're analyzing as if he meant Y, and
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question regarding that. Like when you're dating, the solution is always ask the person. Like just ask, and you'll know, instead of like thinking and uh like go come like you say, like you're saying things that probably he doesn't mean, or you're thinking things that
Mm-hmm.
probably doesn't mean. So just ask him. In gaming, let's say you're not playing with strangers and you can feel these microaggressions
Mm-hmm.
of harassment. How would you say within a team you should handle it when you want to know if that's sigh, if that anything that is happening, like, do you okay, if it's not a stranger, do you react the same way to these microaggression or potential harassment? Or
You could.
yeah,
I mean,
okay, I think you know what I'm saying, but I'm having
yeah, it
difficulties
depends on the
expressing
relationship,
it.
right? If you notice that it's a pattern, you might want to actually address it at some point, because realistically, that behavior could be a trigger of yours, and that person doesn't know that their behavior triggers you that way. So it's useful just to kind of unpack it and be like, hey, like, do you actually mean this side? Am I doing something wrong? Are you freaking out? Do you need my help? That kind of thing. Um, but the reality is that getting used to being able to break down the facts of the situation is vital, both for your own sake and to be effective when it comes to speaking to other people. You'll notice that if you start a conversation that's kind of a confrontation, and confrontation is not an inherently bad thing. It just means that you already expect that you have a conversation that's going to have that has two sides, right? That needs to be worked out. So when you're expecting a confrontation, it's very important to start that with facts only. You want to start the conversation
Okay.
where the person is nodding with you. And the only way that you can do that is by making sure that you're leading in with a bunch of things that you can agree on. Facts are not really disputable, right? Um, and even if it's I'm worried that you think I'm bad, that person is not going to dispute that you're worried about it because they're not in your head. They don't know your own feelings. And if they do try to say, well, no, you don't feel that way, you can very easily be like, okay, well, now you're gaslighting me. So it's not like that, right? Because you're not in here. So you can actually reasonably say that, no, you're not inside of me. I'm telling you how I feel and how I think. So please, like, chill on telling me that, like, how I
Okay.
feel and think, right? But leading in with the facts of the situation, saying, hey, I've noticed sometimes when I get ganked mid lane, I hear you sigh, and immediately I start to think that you might be worried for this game state, that you think I'm like bad or shouldn't have died there. And as soon as those thoughts happen, I don't really know what to do. Um, what are you thinking here? Just so I know and can have a better strategy around what's happening, right? That's just the whole layout of just trying to understand and demonstrate your thought process to another person, and then they can actually clarify whether or not that's what's happening.
And let's say that you're in game, you get that sigh, and that breakdown that you're talking about, and you realize that your heartbeat is increasing and your palms are sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
How can you snap out of it? How, like, once you've done that whole process and you still feel affected by the harassment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any tips?
I do. The first thing is, like, I'm talking about all this analysis stuff and how to get into your own head. I do not recommend that in the moment, right? Because that is actually distracting you from enjoying the game. If you feel like you can't tolerate the game, I recommend leaving it before actually trying to process it. If you really cannot handle being in the game without all of this extra pressure, as much as I hate Dodgers, it's way healthier for you to just exit and then reset. I think in CSGO, when you're playing casual, it's a little bit easier, but if you're in ranked play, you kind of end up being the jerk and you can only do that so many times. So just try to be discerning about it the best you can. Play a few non-ranked games over and over again until you get used to some of the skills that we're going to talk about now. But when you notice that your heart is pumping very quickly and your
Mm-hmm.
hands are getting sweaty, that's because your body is experiencing something we call excitation, right? That physical charge or energy that comes in. And this is not inherently a bad thing. I think being emotional is a good thing. It's something that, as long as you can channel it into your play, can make you play insane, right? Excitement is a good emotion. Being angry is not bad because it increases your aggression, right? And as long as you have control over your movement, these are good things, right? So we can channel this. And one of the things that you can do is, even if you notice that excess energy, just be like, oh, I have excess energy. I need to really point it somewhere. Make sure that you have a really strong focus of what you want to do in the game. And that helps you go from being just a light in the room to a laser. And laser fucking burns, right? We want that when it comes to being competitive. So that's the first thing, being really honest about what you're trying to do. Rather than it being more casual, you're going to want to get really focused on specific goals that you have in the game. And the other thing is, it's like, you actually think it's just way too much, right? It's just too much in the body, too much energy. You can't control it yet, because it does take a lot of focus and concentration to be able to control your attention underneath that heightened energy level. Then you can just use some relaxation techniques. Um, if you are really in your head, the ideas are very chaotic, you might want to take a second in between rounds, take a really deep breath in and out, and then do a centering exercise. And this is trying to get back into neutral playing field, meaning, okay, I can feel the mouse under my hand, I can hear the click on my keyboard, I feel my seat under my body, and then do that breath in and breath out. So the breathing exercise helps relax the body as long as it's nice and slow, making the exhale longer than the inhale. That cues in the body on a biological level that if I'm breathing slowly, there must not be anything interesting going on, right? So you're taking control of your body's biology by doing that. The breath control is probably one of the best things that you can ever do. And you always have your breath. So mastering the relaxation breath control is one of the best things that you can do as an athlete. The other thing, you can make sure that you keep cold water on your desk. you tend to get very hot when you're angry or excited. So kind of bringing that shock to the system of having ice cold water in your body, you can feel it in your tummy. You're just like, ooh, get a little shiver. Like that again is biologically kind of controlling the situation and bringing that energy down. Your body does not want to be excited when it's cold, right? It wants to conserve energy when it's cold. Um, so those are things that you can easily do at your desk in the moment to bring down that high energy if you can't goal set your way out of the situation.
It's crazy because the cold water thing, like I'm someone that doesn't really sweat in life. I'm always cold. And whenever I play CS, especially when it's some the game that matters, I start sweating like crazy. So I feel that I've never been told before that, you're actually getting hot. Like use your water to cool down that reaction. It's actually gonna help your brain. I like it so much. I've never ever thought about it before.
The
Those are good
mindfulness
tips.
around your physical body state will go a really long way. I think a lot of people live their lives not really paying attention what's going on inside their head or inside their body. But your brain and your body give you a lot of signs as to what's going on, and when you know what's going on, you can then problem solve it pretty effectively. But you just need to pay a little bit more attention. Um, and like we said, even with hey, I'm worried that what this person says might actually be true. Well, that's good because a lot of times you just sit there freaking out about this person yelling at you and you never arrive at that conclusion, right? You were just putting all your energy into the other person, but you forgot that maybe it was triggering something real that you can be proactive about. And that's the same thing with your body. If it's getting hot, if you need to relax, right? It's telling you exactly what it needs. It's getting hyped up. It needs to relax. And you know that you can implement strategies to take care of it if you know what's going on. So
Just
just being more mindful goes a long way.
This is so good. I want to remind people at home before we close this thing up within a minute or two that we are currently on the AnyKey stream right now at /AnyKey.org. And after I'm done with the stream on my channel, there will be more streams like that all day long on their stream and on their channels. And they are raising money for the games hotline. And they got $1,000 extra while we were chatting, Summer. So I don't know if it's because you were so awesome and someone was just like donating, but they are at $1,589. So thank you so much to everyone that donated throughout the week. Summer, do you have any last words on competitive gaming and harassment before
Sure.
we
Yeah,
stop?
I mean, at the end of the day, I just want to be clear. Like, while we did talk about a lot of strategies to try to overcome it, just want to validate the feeling that it shouldn't feel okay, right? This is kind of a crummy situation.
Yeah.
So just know that, like, no one feels like you deserve this kind of treatment. It's not really what the world is meant to be. And there's a lot of things happening in the society currently that, we're trying to do better, but we're just not there. So just know that this is not your fault. You didn't, you know, like it wasn't supposed to be like this, and it's a work in progress. These are just strategies to help you cope and overcome and do what you really love to do, which is gaming, right? And if this gets to be a point where you're not enjoying it anymore, it's okay to take a break, right? You don't have to do this. You don't have to weather the storm. And it's kind of crap that it's a fun hobby is being taken from you in a way, but it's all right to just kind of spend your energy doing things that actually make you feel good. It's not a defeat in any way. It's you doing what's healthy and effective for you. So I feel like that's my closing remark. And of course, if things get too much, making sure that you call the hotline through AnyKey.
Absolutely. The hotline, if I'm not mistaken, is open every day or at least during the weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. If you want more information, you can check out their website. So thank you so much, Summer. And I need to ask that is so important to take care of our mind when we want to get good and get competitive because it's only going to get harder. Let me tell you that at the highest rank, that's when things can get heated. So keep thinking about it as early as you can in your competitive career. So this was Summer and Miss Harvey. We're both at CLG and we do that kind of content all the time with our team. So make sure to follow us if you need any intel. And thank you to everyone that donated today. Bye.
Bye.